Hey, this is Daryl as a service for Regarding 365. I've been having an idea as I've been getting ready for Microsoft Ignite and thinking about the experience of sharing my experience, how to get that across in a format that my team members can be involved in. So, I like working with OneNote, and I've seen some really good examples of that lately. At the Digital Workplace Conference in Sydney, I managed to sidle up and have a talk with some people about how they were using OneNote to take notes. And one of those people was taking notes live in OneNote Online. And she had a few team members back at the office that were connected to that notebook at the same time as she was in the session. And so taking those notes, they were asking questions, dropping them on the page, and she was going to talk to the speaker later about those things, and also call out those questions during question time. So that works quite well, although there's a better way to have those conversations now. And so this is what I'm going to go through, is how you can use a notebook alongside an Office 365 group conversation. So whether you've chosen the Outlook groups for the conversation experience, or whether it's Yammer or Teams, you can connect a notebook to each of those as part of your Office 365 group. And that conversation tends to enrich the content that you're capturing. Now, a good example of that, last year I was talking with Amit Gupta and Christoph Feisinger from the Office 365 Group's product group. I spent some time with them in their booth, and there was a number of different customers coming in with all sorts of questions about Office 365 groups. Seemed to be that it was new to a good portion of people that came across the booth. But some of those questions, some things that were really cool to capture, like pictures, photos, different comments and feedback, Christoph and Amit were dropping them into an Outlook group. And the product group back at Redmond were gathering that information, responding to some of it, sharing in some of the successes that were happening during that week. And it was quite a collaborative experience, even within just that conversation area of the Outlook group. So what I'm going to do is go through combining the two. So whether you've chosen Outlook groups, Yammer or Teams, using that conversation area, and then connecting that to a OneNote notebook that's part of that group. So there will be a little blip in this recording because I did start to explain this, and I've got a full Periscope about this, but I didn't click the local recording, so I'm going to patch this particular recording to that, and you'll see a quite visible seam across that recording. So roll film. So I'm recording it too with OBS, pushing it out to Periscope, sweet as. So a few things that I'll go through this concept that we've been able to share this content often afterwards, whether it be a Word document and sometimes a OneNote notebook. But what I did observe recently, and it just really thrilled me to see this, was a few people at the Digital Workplace Conference that were using this notebook and filling out the ideas and thoughts that they had from different sessions. And one team in particular had people who were inside the notebook at the same time as the person attending the conference. So you had a person there making notes, and then you had some others joining from wherever they were. I think it was back in the Gold Coast, and they were dropping in their questions into the notebook. And that works. That's cool. That means that the team member who's at the conference can answer those questions, or go and find out from exhibitors or from speakers, and gather that information together, and then the notebook's fuller and richer. But there is a better place to conduct that conversation, isn't there? That you're able to do that within the Office 365 Group's experience, whether it be Yammer, Teams, or Outlook. I guess I could probably try and retweet this if I found it where it was. So just to share it out with a few other people there. Retweet from Daryl as a service. That'll do it. Bing-a-bing. So let's get on with it. So a couple of ideas that I have had are, first of all, really, where do we start with this notebook thing? Now, I will give you, first of all, an example of what we've done at Adopt and Embrace for Microsoft Inspire. So this was a group that Paul Woods created. He's our founder, and he headed off to Inspire. And he created that as a place to conduct the conversations and drop in some notes. So really most of his content was shared within conversation. I don't think he uploaded any files or anything like that, but there were conversations that were there, and you're able to go through and get links through to various different products that we should have a look at. And of course the team members jumped in and had some opinions and discussions. John Tropia was quite thorough afterwards too, and he did a lot more research and reading around some of the content that was shared. So he enriched more of the content that was captured by Paul at the conference, and it became quite a rich resource for us to go back and look on over the weeks that followed. So that's how we achieved it in Yammer. One thing that I would have encouraged them to do as well is, aside from having that conversation and dropping in the various different ideas and thoughts just right there in terms of conversation, I would have also connected that OneNote. So that's how it was done in Yammer. And what I'm going to do is sort of go through similar steps, but using Microsoft Teams to show you how I've set up something similar for our. And I've just realised that I haven't even been sharing the... There we go! There's our Yammer. Man, I've got to remember, it's tough work trying to produce this stuff at the same time. So let's recap. Paul created this group within Yammer. He created this group within Yammer. Sorry about that. SPC Party Patrol's up late, and he's telling me that there's a few things that I've got an idea. You're joining me. Thank you, the SPC Party Patrol. If you come up to that point where we're doing this Periscope and you see that I'm talking about stuff that you can't see yet, don't worry. I will show you Yammer on the screen before I get into Teams. Quick recap, so Paul created this group. A lot of his content was dropped in via conversation, but you can see other team members that were pitching in and doing additional research. And I mentioned that John Tropia did some additional research later on that helped to really enrich the content that Paul shared with us from conference. And just really to reiterate that I would have also added the OneNote for that fuller conversation, and some other few things that I'm going to show you from my Teams example. So let's get into looking at the team side of things. Yep, there's the notebook already. And there's the notebook already. What we've got in our organisation, and is reasonably small, we're using Teams not just to have conversations with our own internal folk, but also to manage our projects and our customers. And we go with the approach that a team represents a customer or a partner, and a channel represents a project. Now we've got an internal team here, Adopt and Embrace, and I've created an internal channel, or a channel within that team, called Microsoft Ignite. And there's not a lot in there at the moment, of course, because I've just had this inspiration this afternoon. But the first thing I've done really is I've created a tab for OneNote. Now we'll just detail here and reiterate how a notebook works behind the scenes within a Microsoft team. The whole team has one notebook. Well, they could have more, but there's one notebook that's fully integrated with the Microsoft team, so that whenever you create a tab, it's using that same notebook. So every team, when you start off with, you've got a general channel, and as soon as you start to add tabs for OneNote, then what it will create is a section within that notebook. So we'll see that structure shortly. So that Ignite notes that I've created, what I'm going to do is use that to grab fuller conversations, maybe take some notes during sessions. I've started to drop out a page for the keynote and maybe tech note sessions. And because it's one whole section, it's beautifully just displayed within the Microsoft team. You can see that I don't even have to leave Teams, but what I am going to do is show you that there is some advantages to connecting to the notebook using the full OneNote app. Now, why would I use a Microsoft Team or Yammer alongside the notebook? Maybe it's enough to just have a conversation, to drop in your learnings into that conversation thread. And so, yes, it's good to throw that note out there and almost make something of a conversation stream of what you're learning. Maybe you could start a thread for each session that you're going to. Good thing there too is that each of your team members can jump in and make those conversations. But what about those fuller notes that you might want to take? What about the more hard copy conversation that you might want to take and detail or expand on? Because the conversation is going to be there, but it's not really in a form that you can share it across to other different platforms, or export out to Word, or take it and port it to some other notebook perhaps, or some other format. So a notebook is a good way to do this in conjunction with the conversations. What I will say is that it's definitely the conversations that help to enrich that experience. So what have we got? So we've created a notebook, and I have connected to that notebook. I have used the Windows 10 version of OneNote, and we'll just click back and see. Yeah, I've got a few drafts there of the tweets that I want to send out for this broadcast. But the structure of this notebook, if you have a look at, we've got a general channel, we've got some other various channels for the different content that we've created. We have gone a little different in our structure, in that we've created within the channels, we created a OneNote tab, and then within the notebook we've organized them into a section group. So it's nice and easy to organize things into team IP or projects in general. And if we go back to our team itself, you can go into some of these channels and you'll still see that tab. It's not like we're breaking anything by changing that structure and putting that section into a section group. We're just making it easier to manage. So back to that notebook, it's pretty simple, some of those concepts there. So before we go much further about talking about the notebook itself, my second step after creating that notebook is to connect it to your devices. So I have done that here, as you can see. On my laptop, I've connected it to OneNote for Windows 10. What I do encourage you to do, let me just connect this to my phone. And we've got Teams up, AirPlay shortly coming. That's coming up shortly, there it is. And then we'll just flick over to AirPlay. Cool. Alright. So you'll see here I've got all the different teams that are listed within our Microsoft Teams environment, and Adopt and Embrace. So let's go into our Microsoft Ignite channel. So what's the advantage of having it here on your phone? Well, because you might be wandering the expo hall, you might be talking to someone face to face, you might need to quickly whip out your device and jot that idea down. It's not going to be super convenient to pull out your laptop and go, just a moment, I've got to make some notes. Or, wait, can you just hold there while I pull out my tablet and aim it at something? So the advantage of having the team at the ready and the channel at the ready is that you can engage in those conversations directly from your pocket. Someone's got a question from your team back at home base, then you're able to respond to that. And as you can see, I can also open up the Ignite notes. So I have done this already. I have already connected the notebook to my phone as a device. Now I did have an example around here. Maybe I'll just do it with a receipt. Oh no, parking ticket, right, not parking ticket. So imagine this is a business card. Okay, so not only are we taking notes in terms of walking up to an exhibitor booth and taking a few pictures of things and products that we might consider using within our environment, but if I go into creating a page, let's say we'll go take a picture, and this is someone's business card as well. So this is Daryl's parking, of course. We're going to change it to a document view. And the reason that we do that is because it will flatten it out for us. So we'll just take that picture over there, and we can crop it. This is all using the Office Lens kind of technology, and there we go. We've added a photo, and we'll say that using this tip here, this is a business card for a product. Oops. So being able to capture that using voice notes, then that's another advantage too. So I'm jumping ahead of myself here with some of my ideas, but here's the advantage of connecting that notebook to your device, is that you can whip that out, you can make that quick note, you can take that quick picture. It's far easier than pulling out your full device. So what else have I got here? Recording a quick audio note. So if we were back in our business card thingo, just like I just did voice to text there. In fact, that's one of the points that I do make. What was it about? Yeah, make use of voice to text if you have it, like I have here. Remember what did I say here? So what other event? If you're shy of using voice to text, in any other scenario, you don't want to look like you're enunciating very carefully to the phone to be able to understand the text that I'm saying. Let's try that again. We are enunciating these words as they go into the phone. Yes. End line. Okay, done. Okay. What other conference can you go to where you can more comfortably do this? Because you're surrounded by geeks. So voice to text, use it if it's accurate enough and can understand your accent. Back to other options, voice note itself. So maybe you're not going to do voice to text, but you could say, first time I've done it on this phone. I need to get in touch with this person because they had some great ideas around how to use a certain product that would improve the way that we work and expand on our digital workplace strategy. So that's cool. I've made the audio recording. I can play that back. It's if you're going to use audio recordings in conjunction with typing, like if you're sitting down with someone and you say, look, is it okay if we record this because I'm going to make some notes? Lots of cool stuff can happen there in OneNote. So we've got our audio recording, we've done voice to text, we can take pictures and stuff. You get in the idea. If we do this from a mobile, then that's great. But what's the advantage of that? What's happening in the background? So if we click on back to our notebook, full desktop, this might be the view that our team members have within the notebook. Maybe they've connected to it. Maybe they've gone back to, where's our Microsoft Teams? Maybe they're in the notebook over here, and they're catching up with some of the things that we might have noted throughout the day. So there you've got our audio recording. There's a business card there to say, get in touch with this person. All sorts of rich kind of content that we can add to that notebook. And alongside that, of course, we can add that to conversations. So there was another thing, and I'm going to do this in a slightly different order because while we're in the notebook, this is one cool thing that we can do. So let's say that I've made a couple of keynotes, conversations. So we've got new technology. ... Skype becomes Teams. ... that was leaked this week, so is it safe for me to put it in there? It's going to be a topic of discussion at some point, whether it be the keynote or not. What else have we got? Yeah, so you get the idea. Keynote, right? So maybe I want to draw people's attention to the keynote and discussion around the keynote. So I'm going to right-click the page, copy link to this page, going back to my conversations, and I say start a conversation here. Here's my notes from the keynote. Now, do many of you know this little trick? Here's my notes from the keynote. So we put a square bracket around the words that we want to hyperlink. We open up the round bracket, paste in our link, close off the bracket, and now we've got some hyperlink text. Now, I'm hoping that gets added to our rich text format thing, but at the moment it's all about markup language. So here's my notes from the keynote. Give me some feedback. What are your reactions to this news and announcements? Yeah. Announcements. Live like I type fast with a lot of mistakes. Probably should have a question mark at the end of that. Send that off. So we've given someone a link to the place in the notebook, so you can go through and you can actually see that content. And then you've also got the conversation thread there, so you're able to expand on that. Team members are able to ask their questions and get into it. So if they could click on this, whoops. So this is one of the disadvantages, I guess, of Teams at the moment, is that when you're clicking on content that is linked, it is going to try and open that up in the browser experience rather than jumping over to the Ignite notes. So I would have to be logged in there to see that notebook. But yeah, so being able to jump over to that notebook, you'll be able to go through and you'll actually land on the page that you were referencing. So it will jump through and start to show the notes from the keynote. Was there a couple more ideas? Right, so holding a discussion about Ignite, so we can do that within whatever conversation platform that we're choosing, whether it be Outlook, Groups, Yammer, or Teams. Copying that link to the paragraph, so I've showed you that. Could be the paragraph, it could be the page, it could be the whole section. So that's all cool. Now just a few tips around making notes inside a session. Now I'm a little greedy. I like to just rattle things off as fast as I can. You might think though too, what's the big idea of doing that? Because this session's going to be recorded. I'm going to be able to go back and remember it anyway. So, why would I bother with that? So what I do recommend you do when you are making these notes is, if we go in here, let's start off with the BRK code, and let's say 3030. Whoever's doing that session this year, hopefully that has helped to give you a bit of support for your session. But when you go into that session, do drop that code into the title of the page, because it will make it easier for team members and yourself to go back and find a video or find the relevant page that it's referring to there within the tech community, where there's a page for each session. So we've got that. We've got our title for session. And I don't recommend taking verbose notes, but when you do have a learning or something that you want to sort of go back to and reinvestigate in part of watching the recording or sharing with your team, then you might just want to say, Teams finally gets external or guest access, but with a twist. And then you can just sort of detail whatever twist that is. Now the cool thing about this is, let me try. I should have had this prepared earlier. If you keep an eye out for those YouTube recordings where each of the sessions are going to be pushed to and shared to, then you can take those links and drop them into this notebook, and the YouTube video is going to be embedded and playable from the page. So I'm sure that most of you knew that. Let me see if I can find one quickly. Let's go into Tech Community, and we might just use an example from one of the other tech summits, I guess. Go, load like the wind. And you guys are all going, what, really? Come on now. Tech community is not this slow. No, it's not that. It's just that I'm at a house with a bunch of teenagers that do like to use the internet with multiple devices. We've got events. We'll go into tech summits because we know there's some videos there already. So just imagine that this is a post Ignite opportunity to go in and have a look at all the sessions. And I wonder if we can find any that are... Probably should have picked on something that I know has a recording. Let's try this one. Does it have a recording? Maybe. Yes! Excellent! So let's play that. Push it out into share. Okay, so I'm going to grab that. And let's just pause you there. And so back into our notebook. Yes, I can hear you, dude. Back into our notebook. If I go back to the keynote and the the session notes that I'm creating, then I can drop that in there, and it will oops, it will turn that into, come on, don't make me a liar. Come on now. I think sometimes it has trouble with these shortened links. So maybe I should have grabbed this one. Here's our link to the full video. This time, embedding. Oh, come on. It usually works. Maybe it's another bandwidth thing, but that will normally embed that video in the notebook. Sorry, I didn't get to show you all that cool stuff. Yes, demo trouble does happen even in live streamed live demos. So yeah, great. Anyway, so expect to see the video embedded in the page, and then you can have your notes alongside the video itself. So that's, again, it's enriching that content that you're going to create for your team members. Right, so that's probably enough to share. That's certainly plenty in terms of broadcasting time, and if you're still hanging in there like SPC Party Patrol, thank you, dude, then hopefully this has been helpful and useful to you. If you like this kind of stuff, these kind of tips, and also larger discussions about productivity, about adoption, about what's going on within the Microsoft world, we are Regarding 365. And we have a publication at regarding365.com. Recently, we've changed from Regarding Office 365. We thought we'd widen the conversation, so now we're Regarding 365 on Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, and various other places, but certainly Regarding 365 is our publication. So thank you for tuning in, and let's see if I can tidy this up so it becomes a decent resource. Sorry I didn't get that YouTube thing going, but there you go. Signing off now. Thanks for watching.